Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the first Monday in the month of December. It's a beautiful week. I'm Veronica Dan Ikboy. I'm not here alone this morning. I have Kemi Fola Adeyemo intensely looking through the newspaper headlines, wondering what is going on.
Wondering, trying to keep track with all the stories staring me in the face. Good morning.
Absolutely.
How was your weekend?
Well, it was a working weekend, as usual.
As usual.
As usual.
Right.
But we are glad we are here today,
Here
and
we
we are
are.
counting
Thank
down
God.
to Christmas.
Yeah, we are.
And
You and I know why.
Okay. We have an array of issues this morning that we will be looking at, talking about insecurity, also looking at the budget for 2024 and every other thing. But we will begin with the Central Bank of Nigeria this morning. As part of efforts to stabilize the financial industry, the Central Bank of Nigeria has warned that effective from March next year, all bank accounts without the bank verification number, that's the BVN, and national identification number, NIN, will be frozen. Now, the Apex Bank says it has directed a, quote, post-no debit restriction on all bank accounts without BVN and NIN. The move would also help strengthen the Know Your Customer KYC procedures in financial institutions under the purview of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And the CBN is intensely going to monitor this process and also ensure that there is a major level of compliance, and where there are no compliance, especially in tier 1 banks where these accounts are domiciled, a majority of these accounts are domiciled without BVN and NIN, that they are going to ensure that there is a restriction or that there will be punishment for non-compliance, so to speak.
Absolutely. Well, but then there is some confusion on the ground as to why banks, deposit money banks, will even allow anybody in this age and time to operate a bank account without the NIN, without the NIN and the BVN codes. Though there was some clarification, by that some particular financial institutions, especially fintech companies, usually in a rush or just to eliminate all the gridlocks that customers experience, they allow people to open accounts without the requirement, without all those stringent requirements of having a BVN. In fact, in some cases, all they need is your telephone number, and that is it. But then there is also the argument that even regular deposit money banks also do that. Maybe when they send their marketers out to the streets, okay, we want you to open accounts with us. So in that rush, they just forgo what has always been a CBN, what we've always known. We know how these days now, for a long time now, anything you want to do, the first question they ask is, what's your BVN, what's your NIN? But, well, apparently this is also another way of calling it maybe a clean house system, especially with the new leadership at the CBN. And so naturally, this is a good time for them to also up their game and ensure that there are no discrepancies in the way, accounts are run. But people are also saying the pressure will naturally come now, because even for regular bank accounts now, holders, so to speak, you also have to do an electronic validation or verification of your accounts. But they are saying it's electronically, or it's going to be an electronic system. But between now and March, even for those who have to do the electronic revalidation, that will expire by the end of January. So one would imagine, and looking at the pressure. Absolutely, the pressure. Looking at what happened at the last time during the cash crunch, we saw how the electronic systems were really unstable collapsing. And absolutely collapsing. So we hope that we have all learned our lessons, and we won't have to flood the banks with issues as this one now to revalidate your accounts, that we won't have to flood the banks, because already now going to the banks, I can't remember when last, there are pending issues I need to do at the bank, but I try to keep up electronically, but then I'm just speaking for myself. But then looking at our past experiences, I hope it will be better.
Well, the capacity for banks to handle all of these new policies, it will be brought to question and tested in due course. Sure. You rightly pointed out the matter of these electronic transfers, where some people will make transfers and it wouldn't get to the destination, and then it is hanging. And it's hanging for like 2 weeks or a month. Some persons will tell you that they'd never even got that to transfer that money, so to speak, except you harass them on the phone, the customer care, you harass them on the phone and they tell you 5 working days. But for revalidation, I believe that it will not be as cumbersome as wanting to transfer monies electronically. It might just be a prompt to say yes, no,
a link,
and that's it.
And then put in your details,
and that's
confirm.
It. Perhaps that's it. I want to believe they want to make it as seamless as possible, but they should have put structures in place to ensure that what is necessary to ensure the smooth running of this process is in place for customers to be able to do what is needful at the end of the day. And then for those who are to link their BVN and NIN, this is not the first time I think the CBN is doing this, especially for the BVN. When the matter of the BVN came up, we were asked to go link up our bank accounts. And then perhaps that's why some persons did not take it seriously and didn't do it at the time. And so the CBN is now insisting that it has to be done, and whoever is opening an account at this point must ensure that they have their BVN and NIN linked to their account. But the matter of trust is also on the front burner, where some persons believe that, why are you asking for all of this information from me? Do you want to get into my privacy and all of it? But that's not the issue. The bank is trying to ensure that your account and its details are safe. And if there are any perhaps funny movements around your accounts, they are able to trace it, so to speak. That matter has been on the ground for a while now, where monies cannot be traced or tracked to how it is being moved from people's accounts, where people complain about monies being taken out of their account. So the CBN is saying that this is to ensure financial system stability. That is why they are putting this policy in place, and to also ensure the KYC issue, know your customers. So perhaps this will give most banks the opportunity to know who their customers are and know how better to relate with them in the coming days.
But the issue you just raised would also, should also make customers wary of sharing their details, because we still have many people, falling victims, so to speak, through releasing of their financial details, thinking that it is a genuine bank official asking for them, and then they release them. Now with your BVN, after all this is now sanitized and everything has been entered into the system, and the know your customer policy, while there is the good there, which you have, stressed upon, which I take, but then it also now behoves on, regular customers, bank customers, to also ensure that they are wary, because, tactics of, criminals continue to evolve, and we all know how crucial the BVN is. Now, that BVN is going to be tied to all your accounts. Because I remember the period you recollected that how, they made sure that you had to ensure your BVN was, the same, and that you attached your, I've forgotten the term used, but you make sure that all the accounts that you have across various banks is linked to your BVN. And so with this one, is also a reminder that we all need to be very careful, because, criminals are out there, fraudsters are out there. I still get so many of those, scam messages. I even still get, people still get calls.
I get calls.
That, okay, even emails, suspicious emails, and there are still people who still fall, unknowingly or unknowingly, or just, it seems too good to be true. Okay, maybe you forget and let down your guard for a second, and then that's it. Once you release that detail, that is it. So your BVN and now your NIN is extremely very crucial. It's like second to you, and you must make sure you keep it personal.
In fact, that brings to mind persons who are uneducated, who cannot fill these forms, who do not even understand how to go about these things. You have to release your details to someone you trust, who perhaps will take you to the bank.
Absolutely.
To help you fill these forms, do what is necessary, because the majority of the market women may not have gotten this information as we speak until perhaps the dying minute. And so there's the rush to ensure that, oh, someone does this for them or they go with someone to do that for them. You must ensure you're going with someone you trust, such that the person does not take advantage of your vulnerability and your ignorance to have your details, even after filling those forms, then access your account. So these issues must be taken into cognizance. Right. And also you raised a pertinent issue, because that was what came to mind when you talked about phone calls. Ensure most banks do not use the regular numbers for calls, even if they will call you.
So there are still some things that you can still check to verify.
Oftentimes,
whether it's a
bank do not necessarily call you. You call them.
Absolutely, for
so
inquiries.
For inquiries and all.
And there is, like you said, the number.
There's a limited number you can call for customer care line. So as against they calling you to tell you that they want to verify. How many customers will they call?
They call, and even the regular emails. There are also ways that you can detect that this cannot be from the website.
From the bank. You look at the mail, their email address, to understand, okay, this is not from a particular organization or a bank as it is. So you must be able to identify these things to ensure that you do not fall prey to these scammers who would want to take advantage of this period. Now that the banks, the CBN is insisting that we need to revalidate our accounts, or you have to link your NIN and your BVN to your account numbers. Ordinarily, banks will not call you except perhaps your bank manager, something like that, someone who manages your account manager who calls you, and that relationship must have been built over the years for them to call you to tell you.
And they won't even ask for those details.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have to leave this conversation here now.